Hey, I'm Matt at Mr. Maple, and thanks for clicking on another Mr. Maple video. If you like Japanese maples, subscribe to this video. If you like Japanese maples, share this video. And if you like Japanese maples, comment in the comment section below what you like about Japanese maples. If you're following this page, you know there's a lot to like about Japanese maples, and that's what we're going to get into here today.
So why do you like Japanese maples, Matt?
There's so many reasons. I think one of the main reasons Japanese maples are so popular is because of that ever-changing beauty they provide in the landscape. I think one of the main things that Japanese maples kind of capture is that changing beauty of nature. Like, they kind of have something different for every single season. So it's that continual flow of color, that anticipation of spring. There's something new in every single season for the gardener.
Yeah, I think that color change is something that really draws people into Japanese maples, and the fact that they give you those 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You have something for each and every season that sort of makes you realize the season's progressing,
mm-hmm.
and there's something to look forward towards every season. That's definitely a huge part of it for sure. I love Japanese maples because there's so many different varieties.
Right.
I mean, like, people chase Pokemon, they got to catch them all. That's one of the things we had to do with the Japanese maples, was try to get all the different varieties to then understand and compare and see the differences between them.
Yeah, Japanese maples are one of the more popular plants in modern landscaping, and I think it's because they bring that exotic feel to the garden. It has that regal kind of appearance to it. It's something that people often start out with a red upright or a red lace leaf, and that helps familiarize them a little bit with the genre of Japanese maples. But then they start to get that collector bug. They start to realize there's all these different traits to get excited about. There's yellows, there's greens, there's coral barks. There's so many differences to get into. And it kind of opens a whole new world of gardening for a lot of people, because there's so much textures you can play with to go along with those colors. And so it's kind of Pandora's box with Japanese maples, because there's so many different varieties and just elements that you can get into.
With Japanese maples, some people love them because of their fall color.
Mm-hmm.
Japanese maples are noted for having some of the best fall color of any plant. We're talking yellows, oranges, reds, sometimes infused with yellows, oranges, and reds, or any combination. The fall colors are exquisite on Japanese maples, and that's one of the reasons people love Japanese maples.
Yeah, my mind immediately goes to the Kyoto Botanical Garden when we got to go and take some photos there in fall color, and just all that color and grandeur right there was like, wow. I mean, it was almost too much to take in. Now, fall color is amazing, but one of my favorite things is the spring color. Spring color is actually what I like the best about Japanese maples. It's often when they show off the most. It's definitely when you're visiting the nursery here, where you see that we have over 1,000 different types, because you see all the intricacies and all the differences in every little type. So all those variegated trees, all those reticulated forms, they're all showing off in that early spring garden. All those deep reds and greens, they're kind of at their max just wow factor for me on the year. Now, fall color is amazing, but if I was picking, I think I'd pick spring color.
Spring color is probably the most consistent and the best thing about Japanese maples. I would agree with you, Matt. It's one of those things where it's just shock and awe. You get Katsura types, Winayama, Katsura, Allen's Gold, Orange Dream. Some of these plants just give off some of the best spring displays.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix, that you're going to get out of almost anything. It's almost like a flower coming to bloom. And Japanese maples in the springtime can put on such a wide array of colors, from orange, all shades of orange, yellow, all shades of yellow, green, chartreuse, dark green, light green, every shade of green, variegated green.
I think you're going Bubba Gump on us.
Yeah, right.
We got shrimp kebabs.
Variegated with whites and pinks and reds. And the reds are what people love. Shinda Sojo. I mean, it's so bright in the spring, people think it's in fall color.
For sure.
And I think that's the thing about the spring color, is it's just so unique and so different and so intense. Now, Japanese maples can be fantastic through the summer too. There's some Japanese maples, when you get to know and love them, you start to realize some maples are at their peak during the summer, like summer gold. And so they're a Japanese maple for all seasons. But as you want to check out our video that we did recently on Japanese maples, do they have invasive roots? Because just as important as what's above the soil is what's below the soil. Because Japanese maples do have those non-invasive roots that make them beautiful for anybody's landscape.
I agree. You know, there's some great interest in that summer garden with things like orangeola, but there's great winter interest too. Definitely check out our winter interest trees. You get that amazing 4 seasons of color out of a lot of those, where you're getting really nice winter interest to provide that flash in the winter garden out of something like bihu or sangu kaku, or you know, winter orange, or there's so many we've talked about recently on our channel, but some great winter interest. I actually love Japanese maples structurally. So some of the ones that you think of that might not be commonly talked about as a winter interest tree, something like Tamukiyama even. I think it looks so interesting structurally there, or Makawa Yetsubusa in that winter garden.
Germain's gyration.
Yeah, and I love that anticipation of spring. I think there's something to be said for that. There's always a little bit of optimism to a Japanese maple grower, because they always have that thing they're looking forward to, right? It's that spring color, it's that fall color. There's always that next thing that's just almost there.
As Bill Shell says, that ever-changing beauty.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the quintessential thing about Japanese maples, is that ever-changing beauty. But there's also so many different varieties that they're so useful in so many different spots that there's a maple for every spot in the garden as well.
You know, I think one thing people definitely like about Japanese maples are they're very easy to grow. I mean, these grow zones 5 through 9, so they're a very simple plant to grow that's going to grow in a lot of the United States. I mean, zone 5 through 9 covers a lot of area.
You got good drainage and you're covered.
Yeah, really good drainage is the key. And you can grow a lot of types in full sun or shade, depending on the type. You can look up on our website there. Typically, we do recommend shade on all types in zone 9. But there's some very sun-tolerant varieties that could go in full sun for you up to zone 8. And just so much diversity there for sure. It's a great way to provide that splash of color in a very shady spot. So some of the more variegated, flashier forms, they're going to provide that flash to the shade garden.
And say you've got a dwarf, you spot in your garden where you've got a real small space, there are dwarf Japanese maples that'll fit there. There may even be some Japanese maples that grow taller with a narrow habit. Or if you've got a spot where you want a large tree, there's Japanese maples that turn into large trees. So you can take this ever-changing beauty and put it in any space in your garden, and that's one of the reasons why they become so collector-like, because once you have one, we often say Japanese maples are like potato chips. You can't have just one. And once you get one, you start getting more and more, because they're so addicting because of how beautiful they are. And you're going to grow to love the Japanese maple in your garden, and then you're going to grow to start putting them everywhere in your garden. And then you're going to grow to the point where your garden may become full, and you start taking all the things that aren't Japanese maples just so you can put more Japanese maples in your garden.
Hey, we certainly understand that. Let us know in the comments section below why you like Japanese maples. What makes you passionate about these? I hope our passion comes through in some of these videos. We've really been enjoying getting more content out to you. We're putting up new videos pretty much every day at 9, and you can join that live chat. So when those go online, often me, Tim, and Brian are all jumping on there, answering questions, getting involved. So it's a great way to interact with us. If you enjoy that, jump on those live chats at 9 under our YouTube channel. You can catch us there, and just a great way to stay involved. Let us know in those comment sections below, though, what you like about Japanese maples, what fires you up about them, what makes you passionate about Japanese maples.
And if you love Japanese maples, why aren't you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Half the people watching our videos, according to our analytics, aren't subscribed. Subscribe! And as always, make sure that if you love Japanese maples, you show us some love and shop on MrMaple.com.
Hey, thanks so much. God bless.
And have a great day.
Hey, I just wanted to remind everybody about our giveaway. All you have to do to be entered is like, subscribe, and share to our YouTube channel, and then post in the comment section below, I dig Mr. Maple. And that's going to enter you to win. You can enter under every single video. So just a reminder, every single video is a chance to win. We're getting very close. We're creeping up on it pretty fast. We're going to hit 8,000 pretty soon. And when we do, we're going to select some people to win this hat. If this is a popular thing, we may be doing more. Get involved.